My next guest, a very funny young man. You've seen him on Evening at the Improv and Caroline's Comedy Hour, Comic Strip Live. He's a very talented writer, just wrote the HBO special for Tom Arnold. Welcome, JUDD APATOW, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Very good.
Glad you could make it.
Good to be here.
You're way too busy to be having time to come here, so I appreciate you stopping by.
Well, it's great to be here.
You are a very young guy, and you've been doing comedy for a long time. You've been around a lot longer than you should have been for a guy your age.
Yeah, it's kind of sick, I think. I was always into it. I saw you. You were the first comedian I ever saw in Southampton at the East End Comedy Club. Do you remember that?
Sure.
And
sure. Hello to the Pasavillas.
That's right. They're still there. I did it this summer.
And because they have guns.
That's
Go ahead.
So true. And I actually used to rank the comedians, and I looked at my list today for my ranking of you.
Stop.
And it said 8 good improv.
8 out of what? 100. Thank you, John.
8 out of 10, and then
8 out of 10.
It also was because I didn't understand any women comedians because I was 14. So I would have JoJo Williams, like 4.5. What does period mean? You remember that in East Side Comedy Club on Long Island? I used to work as a dishwasher because I wanted to see comedians and I wasn't old enough to get in. And you used to work there, and Eddie Murphy, and here I am right now. How
do you think stand-up has changed? You've been watching it for a long time.
Yeah.
And now you're in the thick of it at the big comedy boom.
Well, I don't know. It's when, back in those days, there wasn't many comedians,
right.
So now it's hard as a young comedian because all the topics are covered. And that's weird, It's like, I did this one joke, and basically what it is I just do this. And I'll do that at a club, and the guy will go, I do that. I do that bit. And it's like, a lot of people sharing the I fart concept, so that's important,
So it's basically too many comics clogging up the highway.
Too many comics, but, God bless all of them.
But you've also had a great, experience working with most of the best on Comic Relief, where you were a writer and.
Well, no, not really a writer. I wrote in the program. I didn't write. I don't write for Comic Relief. I produce benefits for Comic Relief around the country, other than the main show. But I don't. But the big show itself, they don't let me write. They have the big stars to do that.
So did you work with Robin and Billy and Whoopi and everybody else on the shows?
Yeah, that's great. They've never gotten Steve Martin on this show. I always wanted.
We haven't had him on this show either.
That's strange. You'd think he'd run right over here. And
you would think that he would, because he lives in that building right there. You see the one, the red one? That's his.
I've met Steve Martin. Segue into my story. This is actually a true story. When I was 13, I was driving by his house. I wasn't driving. My grandmother was. I was 13, and he was outside washing his car. So I ran over to him and I said, Steve, can I have your autograph? And he said, no, I don't sign autographs at my house. And I said, well, could you sign it in the street? Which was, witty for the 13-year-old. And so then he goes, no, everyone will start coming to my house, and then, I'll have people here all the time. And so I wrote in this letter, I said, dear Steve, I think you're the funniest comedian in the world, but you treat your fans like blank, and if you don't send me an apology, I am going to send your address to Homes of the Stars, and you'll have tour buses passing by 24 hours a day. And then, 3 months later, I got autographed books of Cruel Shoes in the mail, and they said inside, he wrote, Dear Judd, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was speaking to the JUDD APATOW. I've waited my whole life to tell that anecdote. That's like an anecdote,
Yes, that is in fact an anecdote.
As soon as I got the book, I go, I've got an anecdote for panel, and here we are, right here.
Now, you have a piece that I absolutely love that you do, and I was hoping that you'd do it for us here today.
All right. Well,
you know which one it is. The letter to Miguel.
The letter to Miguel. Well, this is actually the only piece that gets me on all these shows, and it's the foundation of my act. And without it, I would still be doing West Covina. But basically, what it is I have one of those childs in a starving nation.
Childs?
And,
is that a word?
Childs? Well, I never graduated.
Research.
I never graduated from USC, but And so you adopt a child through Sally Struthers, and the best part is that he writes you letters, all the time, but you got to write back to him, which is really hard. And so the bit is I'm working on my first letter to Miguel, and it goes like this. It's, Dear Miguel, hi, how are you? How are things in your village? Is the drought over yet? Well, today my mom made me clean the pool. I hate her. Then we played tennis. Do you play tennis? What kind of racket do you use? Well, last week we had a big dinner party at my house. Boy, was I stuffed. I can't remember the last time I ate so much. In fact, we cooked too much food, and after a week in the fridge, we had to throw it all out. Hey, how's that sack of weed I sent you? Well, I have to go. The Domino's pizza guy is here. Hey, guess what? His name is Miguel, too. Oh, nothing like the prepared comedy.
The letter to Miguel, that is funny.
Well,
That's great. It's pretty controversial, though, isn't it? Do you get a lot of flack for that? I mean,
it's a strange bit because like some people like it and some people hate it. I got booed on TV doing it once, which was great for me.
What show?
On Comic Strip Live. I did it. And everyone just went, oh. All it takes is one person to go, ew. Like, they just have no idea.
That's exactly what Mike McDonald was talking about.
Yeah, I know. Like, Jerry Seinfeld thinks it's the funniest thing, and Bill Maher thinks it's disgusting. So what? You can't tell.
Well, they know. They don't know anything. They'll never be anybody.
They're doing okay. Fred Wolf, though. That guy's a funny man.
Fred Wolf.
You know, I once stole a joke from Fred Wolf.
Excuse me?
When I was a young comedian, I was 19. This is a true story. I was doing a gig, and I was bombing the death of a dog. And I said to myself, I go, do I suck, or does this crowd suck? So I did one of Fred Wolf's jokes, and it killed. I go, I suck. That's what it is. I know. It's me. I suck, you know. And so I never thought anything about it. I never did anyone else's jokes, you know. And then, like, he walked up to me, John, I heard you did one of my jokes on West Covina. And I was so scared. I was like 19. I go, no, I didn't. I swear to God. I swear to God. I didn't do it. And I, like, totally, you know, figured if I lied enough, he one day would believe me. And then about, like, I don't know, not too long ago, Fred goes, you know, back then you did my joke. And I said, of course I did, you know. And
you know how I said it?
How did you say it?
Do you remember what I said? I said to you, I said, Judd, I think you and I could be, I swear, I think you and I could be friends. Because I got to know, this sounds like we're dating. This is like love connection. You know, I got along with Judd basically, but remember I said, I think we could be friends, but we have to settle one thing. Yeah. You stole my joke back then, didn't you? And he said, yes, I did. Tell him the joke. You want to do the joke, or do you remember it?
Well, you have to now after that.
Well, actually, I stole several of your jokes, and I don't know which one it was.
It's going to completely,
it was that letter to Miguel
tank it. You know that. The hitchhiking joke, I think you said.
Well, you tell it, Fred. It's yours.
It's going to go in the tank so bad.
No, you have to do it now, Judd. This is Fred's joke.
He doesn't even remember.
It's done by JUDD APATOW.
The hitchhiking joke? I think it was, no, that wasn't it. It was, okay, well, the joke he's thinking of is, you know, a hitchhiker is on the road, and the guy says, you know, where are you going? He says, I just want to get away from the voices in my head.
Over this, you fought? JUDD APATOW, thanks for being here. We'll be right back. Don't go away.